Picture this. You're sitting in a conference room, watching your boss turn bright red as he realizes he's been caught stealing from you. His hands are trembling. Sweat is beading on his forehead. And the client he was desperately trying to impress? They're looking at him like he's the lowest form of scum on earth. That was the moment I knew my revenge was complete. But let me back up because the story of how I destroyed my boss's career. It all started with 2 pieces of paper. 2 Super Bowl tickets. Tickets that were meant for me, a lifelong die-hard San Francisco 49ers fan, to watch my team play in the biggest game in football. Instead, I watched from my couch as some stranger sat in my seats. Seats on the 30-yard line. Seats that my client had personally gifted to me as a thank you for months of hard work. My boss had stolen them, and he thought he'd gotten away with it. He was wrong. If you've ever had someone in power abuse their position to screw you over, if you've ever dreamed of that perfect moment when karma comes knocking at their door, then you're going to love this story. Because what happened next wasn't just revenge. It was a masterclass in psychological warfare that cost my boss over $10,000, destroyed his reputation, and ultimately drove him out of one of his most profitable client relationships. Hit that like button right now if you're ready for one of the most satisfying workplace revenge stories you'll ever hear. Subscribe and ring that notification bell because trust me, you don't want to miss stories like this. And stick around until the end because the way this all played out, it's absolutely beautiful. Now let me take you back to where this all began. I need you to understand something about me first. I'm not just a 49ers fan. I'm the kind of fan that other fans call crazy. We're talking full-day tailgating in the parking lot, rain or shine. I own jerseys from every era. I can recite statistics dating back decades. When the Niners are playing, nothing else exists in my world. So when they made it back to the Super Bowl that year, it wasn't just exciting, it was everything. This was the culmination of years of loyalty, years of heartbreak, years of believing that this team could make it back to the mountaintop. At the time, I was working at a mid-sized consulting firm. You know the type: expensive suits, even more expensive egos, and a hierarchy that made the military look casual. I was handling day-to-day operations for several key accounts, but there was one client in particular who had become more than just business. Let's call him Mark. Mark ran operations for a major company, and over the months of working together, we developed a genuine friendship. After our meetings, we'd grab drinks. We'd talk football. He was a casual fan, but he appreciated my passion. He'd laugh when I'd show up Monday mornings either completely devastated or absolutely euphoric, depending on how the Niners had played that weekend. Mark was the kind of client every account manager dreams of. He trusted me completely, valued our relationship, and wasn't afraid to show appreciation for good work. Which brings us to the partner on Mark's account. Let's just call him what he was, Dickhead Partner. Dickhead Partner was everything wrong with corporate culture rolled into one perfectly pressed suit. Mid-40s, graying at the temples, and convinced that his corner office made him untouchable. He was the type who would take credit for your work in partner meetings, then blame you for any problems behind closed doors. But here's what made Dickhead Partner particularly dangerous. He was smart enough to never leave fingerprints. Every underhanded move was calculated. Every theft of credit was done with plausible deniability. He'd perfected the art of corporate backstabbing. I should have seen what was coming. The week before the Super Bowl, Mark pulled me aside after one of our meetings. He had this smile on his face. You know the kind where someone's bursting to tell you good news but trying to play it cool. "Hey," he said. "I've got something special planned for you. Can't tell you what it is yet, but let's just say you're going to want to clear your calendar for Sunday." I pressed him for details, but he just grinned and shook his head. "You'll find out soon enough. I'm passing it through Dickhead Partner to make it official." My heart started racing. Sunday was the Super Bowl. Mark knew how much this meant to me. Was he actually? No, I told myself. Don't get your hopes up. It's probably just something small. But deep down I was hoping. God, I was hoping. The days crawled by. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No word from Dickhead Partner about any surprise. Friday came and went, still nothing. By Saturday, I'd convinced myself I'd been reading too much into Mark's cryptic comment. Maybe it was just dinner reservations at a sports bar. Maybe it was a signed jersey. Maybe it was nothing at all. Sunday arrived. Game day. I did what I always did, prepared for my ritual of watching from my couch, surrounded by snacks and superstitions, wearing my lucky jersey that hadn't been washed since the playoffs started. The game was heartbreaking. We were so close. So damn close. But we lost, and I spent that night nursing both a hangover and a broken heart, wondering if I'd ever see my team in the Super Bowl again. 2 weeks later, Mark and I met for our usual post-meeting drinks. We were talking about the game. He was being sympathetic about the loss, making jokes to try to cheer me up. Then, mid-conversation, he suddenly got this confused look on his face. "Wait," he said, setting down his beer. "Why didn't you go to the game?" I laughed. "Go to the game? Mark, I wish. Those tickets cost more than my rent." His confusion deepened. "But I heard someone else was in your seats." The blood drained from my face. "What seats?" "The Super Bowl seats. The ones I gave dickhead partner to pass along to you." Time stopped. The noise of the bar faded into nothing. All I could hear was the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. "Mark," I said slowly, "I never got any Super Bowl tickets." He stared at me for a long moment, and I watched as understanding dawned on his face. His expression shifted from confusion to disbelief to something that looked a lot like rage. "Are you telling me," he said, his voice getting very quiet and very dangerous, "that you have no idea what I'm talking about?" I shook my head. Mark sat back in his chair, processing. Then he leaned forward, his jaw tight. "I gave dickhead partner 2 company seats on the 30-yard line. Premium seats. They were specifically for you, a thank you for all the work you've done for us. He was supposed to give them to you as a surprise gift from our company." The room started spinning. 30-yard line seats. To the Super Bowl. For me. And dickhead partner had stolen them. Mark's face was a mask of controlled fury. "Listen to me very carefully," he said. "I need you to quietly ask around the office. Find out what happened to those tickets. But don't, and I mean don't confront anyone directly. Let me handle this." That week back at the office was torture. I tried to act normal, going about my daily routine, but inside I was burning with rage and curiosity. Every time I saw dickhead partner, I wanted to grab him by his expensive tie and demand answers. But I stayed quiet. I played the role of the oblivious employee. It was one of the secretaries who finally gave me the answer I was looking for. We were chatting by the coffee machine when she mentioned, almost offhandedly, how nice it was that the firm had given Super Bowl tickets to one of dickhead partner's other clients. "Super Bowl tickets?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. "Oh yes," she said. "Dickhead partner made such a big show of it. Said it was a thank you gift from the firm. The client was so appreciative." My hands clenched around my coffee mug. There it was. The confirmation of what I already knew in my gut. Dickhead partner hadn't just stolen my tickets. He'd used them to impress one of his own clients, making himself look generous in the process. He'd literally profited from my gift twice. Once by enjoying the credit for giving expensive tickets to his client, and once by not having to spend his own money on client entertainment. I texted Mark immediately. "Found out what happened. Can we talk?" His response came back within minutes. "Call me. Now." I stepped outside the office and dialed Mark's number with shaking fingers. "Tell me," he said without preamble. I explained what the secretary had told me. As I talked, I could hear Mark's breathing getting heavier. When I finished, there was silence on the other end for a long moment. Then, "That son of a bitch." More silence. "Okay," Mark said finally, his voice cold and calculated. "Here's what we're going to do. You're going to text me thanking me for thinking of you with those seats, and mentioning that you found out they went to someone else. Keep it professional, but make it clear you know what happened." "Mark, I don't want to cause problems." "Problems?" he interrupted. "He stole from you. He stole from my company. He took a gift that I specifically intended for you and used it for his own benefit. This isn't about causing problems. This is about justice." I sent the text. "Hey Mark, I just wanted to thank you so much for thinking of me with those Super Bowl seats. It appears they were given to another one of our firm's clients instead. I really appreciate the thought though. His response was immediate and explosive. Are you shitting me? Then a few seconds later, pretend I never told you about this. Let me handle it. Over the next few days, Mark and I spoke several times. He was furious not just about the theft but about the principle of it. This was a man who prided himself on his integrity, who had built his career on trust and relationship. To him, what Dickhead Partner had done wasn't just stealing. It was a betrayal of everything business relationships should be built on. I've got an idea, Mark said during one of our calls, but I'm going to need your help, and you're going to have to trust me completely. What do you need me to do? Just follow my lead. Can you do that? I thought about those stolen seats, about Dickhead Partner's smug face, about the fact that he thought he'd gotten away with it. Absolutely. A week later, we got the call. Mark's company wanted to schedule an in-person meeting at their offices. Nothing unusual about that, we'd done it before. But this time, Mark specifically requested that Dickhead Partner attend. It's a strategy session, Mark had told Dickhead Partner over the phone. Important client decisions that need partner-level input. Dickhead Partner was thrilled. He loved these kinds of meetings, opportunities to schmooze with clients, take credit for work his team had done, and generally inflate his own importance. The flight down was excruciating. Dickhead Partner spent the entire time talking about how impressed the client must be with our work, how this meeting was probably going to lead to expanded business, how his leadership on the account was clearly paying off. I just nodded and smiled, knowing what was waiting for him. When we arrived at Mark's office building, I was nervous. My palms were sweating. My heart was racing. But underneath the nerves, there was something else. Anticipation. Justice was coming. We were led to a conference room I'd been in many times before. Mark was already there, along with several of his usual team members. But there was someone new, a woman in her 30s I'd never seen before. Mark stood up as we entered, his face perfectly professional. Dickhead Partner, great to see you. And my name, always a pleasure. Then he gestured to the woman. Dickhead Partner, I'd like you to meet Stephanie. She's a VP from our East Coast division. She wanted to sit in on today's meeting. Dickhead Partner smiled and extended his hand. Pleasure to meet you, Stephanie. Then Mark dropped the first bomb. Hey, he said casually. You guys must already know each other from the Super Bowl. I felt the air in the room change. Dickhead Partner's smile faltered slightly, but he recovered quickly. Stephanie looked confused as she shook my hand. Oh, I don't think so. Did we meet there? I'm sorry if I forgot. Mark laughed. Geez, Steph, how much did you have to drink? They were sitting right next to you. I could feel Dickhead Partner's eyes on me. This was my moment. The moment Mark and I had rehearsed. Sorry, Mark, I said, looking genuinely confused. I wasn't at the Super Bowl. Are you thinking of someone else? The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Dickhead Partner's face went white, then red, then white again. He opened his mouth but only managed a weak, But Stephanie wasn't done. God bless her, she played her part perfectly. No, she said thoughtfully. It was those guys from. And she named Dickhead Partner's other client. By the way, I was wondering why we gave company seats to them. Is there some project we're working with them that I don't know about? Mark and I both knew the answer to that question. Dickhead Partner's other client was in a completely different industry. There was absolutely no reason Mark's company would have given them Super Bowl tickets as a business courtesy. Dickhead Partner made another strangled sound. Mark's voice cut through the awkward silence like a knife. Dickhead Partner, I gave you those tickets specifically for my name. What happened next was beautiful in its horror. I watched Dickhead Partner's face cycle through every stage of panic in real time. First came the denial phase. Well, he wasn't able to make it, so he must have given the seats away to someone else. He turned to me desperately, his eyes pleading for me to cover for him. Mark's expression didn't change, but I could see the fury building behind his professional mask. I delivered my line with perfect innocence. What are you talking about? Mark, you gave me tickets to the Super Bowl. And that's when Dickhead Partner truly began to crumble. Mark's voice rose slightly, not shouting, but with an edge that made everyone in the room sit up straighter. Dickhead Partner, Those tickets were a personal thank you gift from me to my name. Did you give them away to someone else? He paused, letting the question hang in the air like a sword. Was it another client? Dickhead partner was sweating now, actual beads of perspiration forming on his forehead. Oh, maybe something got mixed up in the office? Mixed up in the office. As if Super Bowl tickets just accidentally find their way to the wrong person. Mark stared at him for what felt like an eternity. The silence in that conference room was deafening. You could hear the air conditioning humming. You could hear someone's watch ticking. You could hear Dickhead partner's heavy breathing. Then Mark slowly closed his portfolio, deliberately packed up his iPad, methodically placed everything in his briefcase. I think this meeting is over, he said quietly. What happened next was the most professionally savage thing I've ever witnessed. Mark looked directly at me. My name. It seems I owe you a thank you gift. Let's go to lunch. Then he turned to Stephanie. You're welcome to join us. Finally, his gaze settled on Dickhead partner, and his voice took on a tone I'd never heard from him before, cold, disappointed, and absolutely final. Dickhead partner, I need to evaluate our relationship. Please go back home and expect to hear from us next week. Dickhead partner tried one last desperate move. I'd like to join you for lunch. Maybe we can sort this out. Stephanie cut him off with surgical precision. I don't think that's a good idea. She walked to the conference room door and opened it. The front desk will see you out. As Dickhead partner gathered his things with shaking hands, I could see him trying to process what had just happened. How had a routine client meeting turned into his professional execution? The elevator doors closed behind him, and the moment they did, the entire room erupted. Mark started laughing, not happy laughter, but the satisfied laughter of someone who had just delivered perfect justice. Stephanie was grinning from ear to ear. The other team members who had watched the whole thing unfold were shaking their heads in amazement. That, Mark said, wiping tears from his eyes, was exactly what that bastard deserved. It was then that Stephanie revealed the full extent of the setup. She wasn't actually a VP. She was an employee from another department who Mark had recruited to play the role. But as it turned out, she was also a Niners fan and was happy to help take down someone who would steal Super Bowl tickets from a fellow fan. As we walked to the restaurant, my phone buzzed with a text from Dickhead partner. We need to talk. You need to cover for the firm. I can explain everything when you get back. I showed the message to Mark, who smiled grimly. Tell him you'll see what you can do. But don't respond for a couple hours. Let him sweat. The lunch was surreal. Here I was, eating at one of the most expensive restaurants in the city, plotting the complete destruction of my boss's relationship with his biggest client, and I'd never felt more justified in my life. Mark wasn't just angry anymore, he was methodical. He'd moved past emotion and into pure business mode. Here's what's going to happen, he said over dessert. I'm going to send your firm 4 demands, and they're all non-negotiable. He counted them off on his fingers. First, they're going to pay me back for the resale value of those Super Bowl tickets. Not face value, resale value. We're talking about premium seats that were selling for over $5,000 each. That's $10,000 minimum. Second, you're going to receive a direct, personal apology from Dickhead partner. Third, I want a written apology to my company from someone with actual authority. A senior partner, not some middle manager. Fourth, going forward, I will only work with you or another senior partner. Dickhead partner is banned from this account permanently. Oh, he added with a wicked smile. And they're picking up the tab for this lunch too. I made sure to order the most expensive things on the menu. I waited 3 hours before responding to Dickhead partner's increasingly desperate texts. When I finally replied, I kept it simple. Yes, we definitely need to talk. I'll see what I can do. The flight home was torture for Dickhead partner. He kept trying to bring up what had happened, fishing for information about what Mark and I had discussed at lunch. I played dumb, just saying that Mark was pretty upset, and that we should figure out how to handle this back at the office. Monday morning brought the reckoning. I walked into the office to find Dickhead partner pacing in his office, on the phone with what sounded like another panicked partner. When he saw me, he hung up immediately. Close the door, he said. We need to talk. For the next hour, Dickhead partner tried every manipulation tactic in his arsenal. He tried to downplay what had happened. It was just a misunderstanding. He tried to shift blame. The tickets got mixed up with other client gifts. He even tried to make me complicit. We all make mistakes. You need to help me fix this. But I could see the fear in his eyes. He knew he was caught. He knew Mark wasn't going to let this slide. And most importantly, he knew that his reputation, the most valuable asset any partner has in a consulting firm, was about to take a massive hit. That afternoon, the demands arrived via email. Mark had been thorough and professional, but the message was clear. Pay up, apologize, and never let Dickhead partner near this account again. The partners' meeting that followed was legendary. I wasn't in the room, but word spreads quickly in a small firm. Dickhead partner had to explain to his partners how he'd managed to jeopardize their most profitable account by stealing a gift meant for an employee. The other partners were furious not just about the theft but about the stupidity of it. How do you steal Super Bowl tickets from someone and not expect them to notice when they don't show up to the game? The resolution was everything I could have hoped for and more. Dickhead partner was forced to pay the entire $10,000 invoice out of his own pocket. His partners made it clear that the firm wouldn't cover his theft. He also had to personally pay for our expensive lunch. He delivered his apology to me in front of the other partners, and I could see how much each word physically pained him. This was a man who had built his career on never admitting fault, and here he was, publicly acknowledging that he'd stolen from his own employee. The written apology to Mark's company came from the managing partner himself, a clear signal that the firm was taking this seriously and throwing Dickhead partner under the bus to save the relationship. But the best part? Mark made good on his threat. He would only work with me or other senior partners going forward. Dickhead partner lost all profit sharing from what had been one of his biggest accounts. And here's where the story gets even better. I came out of this looking like a hero. From the other partner's perspective, I had handled an impossible situation with grace. My boss had screwed me over, and not only had I not retaliated unprofessionally, but I'd actually tried to save the client relationship for the firm. They saw me as the victim who had acted with integrity while Dickhead partner had acted like a thief. My stock in the firm had never been higher, but the best revenge was still to come. 6 months later, I left the firm for a much better position at a competing company. The environment had become too toxic with Dickhead partner still around, and I knew he'd make my life hell whenever he could. A year after that, I got a call from my friend at the new firm. Guess what client just signed with us? It was Mark's company. They had finally terminated their relationship with my old firm entirely. And the reason? According to Mark, they'd lost confidence in the firm's integrity and leadership. Dickhead partner didn't just lose his profit sharing, he lost the entire account. Millions of dollars in annual revenue, gone because he couldn't resist stealing a couple of football tickets. You know what makes this story so satisfying? It wasn't just about the money or the humiliation, though both were deeply deserved. It was about Dickhead partner's complete inability to understand that actions have consequences. He lived in a world where he thought his position protected him from accountability, where he could take whatever he wanted and charm his way out of any problems. But he made two critical mistakes. First, he underestimated the relationship between Mark and me. He saw a client and an employee, but he missed the genuine friendship and mutual respect that had developed. Second, he overestimated his own cleverness. He thought that by giving the tickets to another client, he could create enough confusion and distance that no one would be able to trace them back to him. He was wrong on both counts. The beautiful irony is that Dickhead partner's theft was ultimately what exposed his character to everyone around him. If he had just done his job and passed along the tickets like he was supposed to, Mark and I would have had a great time at the game, and Dickhead partner would have gotten credit for facilitating a nice client gesture. Instead, his greed and arrogance cost him over $10,000, his reputation with his partners, one of his most profitable client relationships, and ultimately contributed to that client leaving the firm entirely. Looking back on this story, I'm struck by how perfectly everything aligned. Mark could have just demanded the tickets back or asked for a simple apology. I could have confronted Dickhead partner directly and made it a he said she said situation. But instead, we got something much more satisfying: public accountability. Dickhead partner was forced to face the consequences of his actions in front of the people whose opinions mattered most to him. There's something deeply satisfying about watching someone who abuses their power get exactly what they deserve. Not through violence or illegal retaliation, but through the simple application of consequences they thought they were immune to. And you know what? I still haven't been to a Super Bowl. The Niners haven't made it back since then. But when they do, and they will, I'll be there. And this time, nobody's stealing my seats. If this story gave you chills, if you found yourself smiling when Dickhead partner got what was coming to him, then smash that like button right now. I want to hear from you in the comments. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? Have you ever had a boss or coworker steal credit or opportunities from you? How did you handle it? And if you love stories like this, tales of justice served cold, karma coming full circle, and people getting exactly what they deserve, then you absolutely need to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because I've got more stories that will restore your faith in cosmic justice. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Until then, remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad, it's getting even.